Hello again. Today I wanted to cover a few topics in this video, so I was trying to think of an idea that brings them all together, and the idea I came up with was sealed boxes. So sealed boxes and sealed product is really important in other trading card games, especially things like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, and it's becoming more important in American sports cards in that industry, but it's never talked about in AFL, and I think this is going to change in the future for a few reasons I'll get into later in the video. But yeah, I think it's a really fun and different way to collect, and also a good way to kind of invest and see how the market goes. So yeah, there's three things I want to talk about in this video. The first one is the Optimum release and the drama that's kind of come about from that. The second thing is why I personally like collecting sealed product and why I'll continue to do it in the future. And the third thing I want to talk about is alternatives to Optimum. So I want to give some recommendations on sealed boxes that I think either really good value at a really good price point, or stuff that I think is going to increase in value in the future. And yeah, I think releases like Optimum has really brought sealed product kind of into the forefront, where people didn't really think about it before. It was more all single cards, and it still is, but people are starting to think about, well, if I can buy this sealed box, and maybe I'll be able to trade into single cards, and maybe if I hold this box, will it go up or down? Like, it's I think it's starting to get in people's consciousness, so it's good to have a video and talk about it. Okay, so first of all, the Optimum release. If you didn't know what happened, pretty much it sold out immediately, as everyone expected. But yeah, that left lots of people kind of upset about how that went down, and some people actually bought it and then immediately tried to resell it on eBay for 2-3 times the price, which annoyed people even further. So I can definitely understand that, people being annoyed, especially if they had to miss out on the product. Me, myself, I didn't get any. That was kind of my own fault because I missed both drops. The first one I missed because I read the time wrong. It was in Eastern Standard, and I logged on half an hour late. And the second one I just forgot about. So I didn't get any boxes myself. But seeing some people's responses made me think, well, I don't really need it. It doesn't affect me either way because it's not what I want to collect. I like the older cards, so I'd rather it go to someone who really kind of wants it. And yeah, this is one of the problems with the reselling, because people said, well, you're taking product away from the people who really want it. But if you dive deeper into it, like, it's always going to happen. It's economics. If there's a high demand and everyone wants the box and there's low supply, then the prices are always going to go through the roof. And you've seen this in early releases as well, like Footy Stars Prestige, that was reselling for more than double its retail price. So for Optimum, a much better set being double its retail price isn't really a big surprise. And at the end of the day, although it's not necessarily a moral thing to do to immediately resell for double 3 times, when there's money on the table, that's just what people are going to do. It's just human nature. So I'm going to get the whiteboard out real quick, because I want to talk about something with the reselling and with people being annoyed about how Select are going about it. Because some people might say, well, I don't blame the resellers because people just want a money grab. And I might blame them, but they might understand it. But I blame Select, because Select are making a product which is obviously going to sell out immediately because it has so much value in it. And yeah, the normal collector isn't going to be able to get it because it's just too sought after. Well, that's a bit of a conundrum for Select, I think, because we've got 2 options here. And this is kind of the option probably when they start doing this high-end stuff, like not 2019 maybe? Pre-2019. So this is like lower value releases. For example, it's very easy to forget, but 2014 Select Honours 1, that's the release with the Cripps draft pick signature, with the Bontempelli draft pick signature. So it's a pretty good release. Like, it's not well beating because the rest of the inserts are kind of weird, but yeah, the draft pick signatures is a pretty good release, like Sicily, a few others, Tom Boyd. This release, even being a decently strong release, sat for 5 years, and people may not know this, or may not think about this, but it sat from 2014 to 2019. So pretty much from Select's viewpoint, well, if you release a thing that's low value, well, people aren't going to buy it, and then the price is going to go down. So and then people are unhappy because they go, well, why are you putting out bad releases? I want good cards, I want excitement, I want hype, I want all these good things about trading cards, collectibles, and that kind of industry. So people are unhappy. People are unhappy when it's low value, and there's not as many chase cards, and it doesn't sell. That's the end of the line. But on the other side, we've got Optimum, and that's including stuff like Brilliance and Supremacy from last year, where it sells out immediately. It's hugely hyped. People are very excited. People love Select until they can't get the product. So what ends up happening is people can't get the product, resellers get the product, price goes up, and and then guess what? People are unhappy again. So it's a bit of a weird conundrum where Select can put out a really not so good set or a really amazing set, and on both sides of the spectrum, people are still unhappy. Now, obviously, in the perfect world, you put out a set, I'd say not quite in the middle, but kind of here. So it would have, say it's a $315 release like Optimum. The best case scenario would be kind of value of 350 to 400, because that way it disincentivizes reselling, because after your fees and stuff, you're not going to make anything or very little, but it still incentivizes buying the box. So you'd think this would pretty much sell out, but it's not going to fly out the door like your Optimum. So I just thought that was interesting, and I think some collectors maybe get a bit hypocritical because they say, oh, I missed out. This is so unfair. I'm a huge collector. I love my footy cards. But then as soon as Select put out like a not so good release, they're the same people that don't buy it. So you can't really have your cake and eat it too. You can't ask for a really hard release and then get annoyed when it sells out. The same way you can't ask for a really cheap release, but then get annoyed when there's not much value in it. So obviously I think this is kind of the future as well, trying to get it more in this middle range. But you kind of have to see both sides of the coin. The second part of this video is why I like sealed product, and I like it for 3 reasons. The first one is nostalgia, and that's let's just use Optimum for example again. In 20 years time, how cool would it be if you have a sealed box of Optimum and you think back to 2021 COVID times, footy cards booming, going crazy, everything happening, and you could open up and see your favourite players, see your Bontempellis, your Walsh, Cripps, all the big dogs on your footy cards from your childhood or from your 20s or 30s or whatever stage of life you're in. So that's why I like sealed product. And some people would say, for example, if I got Optimum, I probably would have just held it and kept it sealed and just put it in my collection that way. And lots of people would say, well, if you're not going to open the box, don't get it. What's the point of getting it? Well, I think it would be a really big shame if everyone who got a box cracked it, because there'd be no time capsules left for the future. Because, I think it's always nice having stuff for the future that you can look back on, and it's just that real nostalgia. The second thing kind of ties in with that is mystery, just not knowing what you have. So I have some sealed stuff at home. I have 2013 Future Force, and I just don't know what's in it. Obviously, I'm hoping there's a Bontempelli gold signature in there. So just the unknown really makes it exciting for me. And you just don't know. It's the mystery of it. The third thing, and I think the most important, is diversification. So the best way to explain this, I think, is another example. I'll talk about 2013 Future Force, actually. So this is an interesting one. I have mentioned it before in the channel, but when I bought this in 2016, 2017, no one wanted to touch Future Force. It was not liked by collectors. It didn't have big value. It was kind of like the forgotten child of the AFL. I think that's because lots of the older collectors were very set in their ways. People only care about the main releases. People only care about the main rookie cards, that kind of stuff. But especially with the influx of people from other hobbies, I believe, Future Force has got a really big leg up in the past couple of years. And that's because people new to the hobby, or even me in 2016, 2017, I was looking at that and going, there's a case of Future Force, 18 boxes, I think, in 2013 Future Force case. 18 boxes for $850, and people can't give it away. It was sitting on eBay for that kind of price. And I just couldn't believe it personally, because you've got a card like Bontempelli's Gold Future Force sitting in there, just waiting to be found, and it's going for $850 a case. But for people who were in the hobby for a while, they say, well, that's just what they're worth. Like, people just don't really like Future Force. But for me, coming in with a fresh lens, I just thought that was hugely underpriced. So, getting back to diversification, in 2013, the biggest player of the draft was undoubtedly Tom Boyd. Like, everyone was going crazy about Tom Boyd. He was supposed to be the next big thing, dominated junior level. So obviously when Future Force came out, I wasn't really into footy cards back then, but I can almost assure you the big card of that set would have been Tom Boyd's gold signature. It probably would have gone for, I don't know, like $500, $1,000 maybe. I'm not sure what the market was like back then, but it was a super rare card of a super hyped player. Now, if you had a choice back then, am I going to buy $1,000 Tom Boyd gold signature or $1,000 worth of sealed 2013 Future Force? Most people would go for the single card because that's the chase card of the set. But over the long run, the sealed stuff would have actually got you better returns. And that's why I like sealed product as well, because in Optimum, there's 59 draft picks who have cards, who have rookie cards and signatures in that set. If you just went and picked Jamira and you think, well, this guy is going to be a huge star at the AFL, well, you could be right and, you know, do well for yourself in the future, or you could be horrendously wrong. He, you know, gets injured, doesn't have a very good career, this and that happens, and yeah, it just doesn't work out. But pick number 48 could all of a sudden become the next, like Dustin Martin, and you've got a winner there. So different players have different trajectories in their career, and sometimes it's the players you least expect when they start end up being the most collectible in the future. So once again, 2013 Future Force, Christian Salem is in that. And when I bought the case in 2016, 2017, Christian Salem was nobody. Like, he was at best a fringe player at Melbourne. No one cared about him. No one ever would have thought he'd become an All-Australian kind of caliber player in 2020 to 2021. I don't think he made the All-Australian, but he was definitely in the squad. So, yeah, it's just seeing that, he not doing anything for the first 7 years of his career, and then all of a sudden his card price is skyrocketing in 2021, and just having that case there, that's exciting for me, because I've diversified across that whole draft class, whether it be Bontempelli, Matt Crouch, Josh Kelly, Dom Sheed. So yeah, instead of writing one person's career, I'm writing all their careers. But probably onto the most interesting part for the viewers maybe, the recommended boxes. And I've got two main choices, and then I'll just mention a couple others at the end as well. The first one I've just entered just purely on price point. Like, you just can't go wrong with this box. It's 2016 Future Force. It's not a high value release. You're not going to pull it and pull a crazy card unless you get the Andy McGrath signature. That's a great card, and I think it's going to age really well. But unless you get that, there's a couple others. I think McCluggage as well. So it's going to be the exact same as 2013, where a few years afterwards, 5 years after the draft, you go, oh, there's a couple stars there. There's McGrath and McCluggage. But then in 10 years, a few of those other players will emerge and become important players in the AFL. And it's not sold out on the Select website from 2016. And this is what I was going on about with people saying, I can't believe I can't get a box of Optimum. Well, you can get a box from 2016, but no one wanted it then. There was no hype. So you can get a box. It's $70 to $80, I think, with shipping. Can't really go wrong. I think until it sells out, it's not going to go up in price, but after it sells out, I think it's going to do the same thing as the other one and increase by 10% a year. It's not going to be a crazy uptick. It's not going to be like the next box I'm saying, where I think has real growth potential, but this one is a real safe bet. If you parked $1,000 in this in 2016 Future Force this year, I think in 10 years you'll definitely double your money. Not that that's the greatest investment in the world, but I think it's a safe thing to buy. And if you just like opening packs, like, you can't, $70, $80, like, it's a box of Optimum is going to be like 5 to 10 times the price. So yeah. The second one I want to talk about is one I always talk about, and that's because it has big value, it has excitement factor because it's got big chase cards, and I think it's got huge growth potential still. So this is 2010 AFL Select Prestige. I know I always talk about the same stuff, but I actually thought about that, and I thought I always talk about the same stuff. It's probably really boring, but then I thought, well, sometimes this stuff is boring. Like when you're on a winner, when you know what the good stuff is, sometimes you don't have to look elsewhere. Sometimes you just have to look at the best choice in front of you. So this, I think, is the best choice, even at the prices it is at now. I think it's going to become the classic sealed box in the AFL, and like I said, with Optimum, in 20 years' time, people are really going to be looking for the important boxes from this time, and I think that's 2010 Select Prestige. So the other ones I want to give a quick mention, if you wanted to go outside of those two, are 2014 Select Honours 1. I think that's a good option, just because it has the Cripps and Bontempelli mostly. And the other option is 2005 Dynasty, and that has the Lance Franklin draft pick signature, Lance Franklin platinum die cut, and 2008 Classic. So that has your Danger, Cochin, Cyril Rioli draft pick sigs. I actually think this is sold out completely on eBay, so I'm not even sure if you can get your hands on it, but that's also a good choice. So as usual, my videos run way too late. I thought this was going to be a quick one tonight, but I'll see everyone next video, and hope you have a good one. Cheers.